Hey guys, this is Xavier with Hdmi Mobile, and this is the Sony DSC RX100 M3, better known as simply the RX100 M3. As you can guess from the name, this is the third version of Sony's pocket camera. Now series is widely considered the best pocket camera money can buy. It is expensive, but in my book it's worth every penny. This camera retails for $799. I just picked up mine from Sammy's Camera in San Francisco. And it's actually to replace my Sony RX100 M2, which was purchased to replace my RX100 M1. As you can guess, I really like this series of cameras, and there's a good reason why I really enjoy shooting with these, and that's because it has near DSLR qualities in a really compact package. So when I travel or if I'm going to cover an event and I just don't feel like lugging around one of my larger cameras, something this size is perfect. Now let me go ahead and unbox this and get into it. So we're going to take this out. I have not opened this yet. We have, looks like a quick setup instruction manual on how to use the viewfinder. The viewfinder is one of the key differences between this year's model and last year's model. We've got a little warranty card and some little promo flyers. One is a reminder to register, another one's for 15% off for Canadian customers. We also have a pamphlet here about Wi-Fi connection and using One-Touch NFC. As you can guess, the camera has Wi-Fi and NFC built in, so you can actually export movies and pictures directly to your smartphone, whether it be Android or iPhone. And of course, we have a little instruction manual here, English, French, and Spanish. Now's the good part. This is the lid. I'm going to pull it back, and we have a little black power brick. Folds back and forth. Now, one thing that I don't like about Sony cameras that's kind of annoying, especially since they're so expensive, at least the ones I buy from Sony are expensive, is that you don't get an external battery charger. You actually charge your battery using a micro USB cable that goes into the camera. You don't actually take the battery out and put it in here. You can buy an additional accessory that does that, but for $800 it sure would be nice to have that as a bundled accessory that's thrown in with the purchase price. Here we have a little adapters for shoulder slings, so if you want to wear it around your neck. And of course the best part of this all is the camera itself. So let's go ahead and take it out here. And there's a beauty. It weighs 10 ounces and it is lighter than most of my accessories for my DSLRs, including my lenses, strobes, etc. Looks largely like its predecessors. There's a couple of differences here though, is that if you open up the LCD, it flips all the way back and you can actually see it from the front view. So this is great if you're going to take a selfie. You can get in the picture. This is actually one of the reasons I bought this camera, is because I'm not in a lot of my family pictures. Now, I primarily use these devices for work, but when I do travel, I end up not being in a lot of the photos unless I use my smartphone to take a selfie. I'd really prefer the high quality of this camera. We have a little tag dangling off the side here. It says built-in electronic viewfinder and some information. These are just specs. It's set up. This is set up obviously as if you were going to see this in store, but we'll read through it anyways. There is a 1-inch 20.1 megapixel sensor. Now 1 inch doesn't sound all that big, but in the world of compact cameras that is actually huge. This camera is simply too small to do anything like a full frame sensor, but a 1-inch sensor is significantly bigger than just about any pocket camera that you can get your hands on. That's the same size sensor as what was found on the previous generation. But the big news here is that this lens in this camera has a really wide aperture. So it's f1.8. The old model was f2 or 2.8, I believe, but it's a significant stop down. So what that means is that it's going to have a lot better performance in dark. It's going to have a better bokeh effect. And the only downside of this is that it's a 24 to 70 millimeter optical zoom. We used to have a little bit more range on the high end on the older cameras. Now that's not going to be a deal breaker for most people. It does have a digital zoom function if you really need to sort of stretch the length of that zoom out. But to be honest, most people that are using this camera aren't shooting, sports or birds that are hundreds of yards away, you really don't need that kind of zoom. Now, another nice feature that this camera has that is new this year is a built-in ND filter, or neutral density filter. What that does is it allows for more options and exposure when it's really bright outside. So instead of having to shoot with the aperture really cranked up to like f16 or something, you can go ahead and notch it down, let more light in, and play with your exposure settings a bit more. So a neutral density filter is something that typically is used on DSLRs. You'll see photographers spinning those onto the front of their lenses to make it darker. And that's really nice to have in this. If you don't know what that is, you probably don't need it, but it's a really nice feature to have on a point and shoot camera. And then you see this again is a 180-degree tiltable LCD. From what I understand, the LCD is absolutely gorgeous, but we haven't turned it on, so I can't speak to that myself. Going through the camera really quick, I'm going to go ahead and insert the battery, and hopefully it's powered up. I don't have my older cameras handy, so I don't have a charged battery right here, but this is what the battery looks like. This is an NP-BX1 Sony battery. One nice thing that I love about Sony cameras is that, at least in this range, they all use the same camera battery. So I've purchased several of these guys over the past couple of years, and I have a whole bag full. Now this camera is rated to run for about 320 pictures on a single charge, but in the real world we all know that things vary. You're going to hit playback, for example, you're going to use burst shooting mode, you're going to review photos, etc, etc. So in the real world you're not going to get 320 pictures, especially if you're using flash. So if you're going to buy this camera, don't cheap out. Don't rely on this one single battery, especially if you're traveling, and spring for a second one. But if you're upgrading from the original RX100, then there's no need to, because your old batteries can fit right in. So I'm going to go ahead and fire this up, and it looks like there is at least some charge in here. We're going to go ahead and enter the date and time. I live in San Francisco, so we can go there. And it is July. So I actually don't know what time it is, so let me check my smartphone. It is 7:03. Now, as you can see, I'm actually not using these dials to set things up. I'm not using a touchscreen, so if you click here, it doesn't do anything. It's one downside of Sony cameras is that at least this range does not have a touchscreen. Now, this is a professional grade camera in terms of, as far as point and shoots go. You'll see a lot of professional photographers, this is their ultimate backup camera, so they'll carry 2 or 3 DSLRs, but this is it. I mean, this is as good as it gets in terms of pocketable point and shoot cameras. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just a quick tour of this. I'm not going to get into all the menu functions. We'll do that in another feature video. But as you can see, really solid looking camera. It looks fantastic. It works just like the older camera with the dials and whatnot. Here you can see how I can spin around the camera, and this is great, especially if you're going to shoot videos of yourself. And as you can see, as I'm running through this video, you can see that there's it's in program mode right now, so what that means is it's going to select the modes automatically for you. It just feels like a great device. And as you can see, this LCD can bend every which way if you want to get really low angles. I'm going to go ahead and hit the viewfinder, electronic viewfinder. Obviously this is so you can get up close and shoot more like you might be used to with a DSLR. That's a really nice little feature. And then there looks like there's a little slider here to pop up flash. Now, one thing that's pretty unique about this camera compared to most point and shoots is that you can actually angle the flash bulb backwards and bounce light. Now, you're not going to walk into a huge ballroom and be able to bounce light off the ceiling and back down, but in most homes that are about an 8 or 10 foot ceilings, you can actually do that and soften up the light. And what else do we have here as we go around? There's an HDMI out port on this side, and this is a supposedly full 1080p output, and it's lossless. So if you're traveling and you want to review your photos or your videos on the hotel room's TV, you can do that from right in there. And there's a micro USB port for charging and offloading content. Now, if we go ahead and look around this phone, or not this phone, this camera, you'll see that you can connect your phone using NFC, near field communication. And this is a really, really nice feature if you need to get rid of your photos quickly and share them. All you have to do to set up is download the Play Memories app, touch it to your smartphone that's NFC equipped, so that's any Android phone that's on the market right now. Most of the high-end ones have it. Go like that, and it automatically configures the Wi-Fi signal, and you're good to go. Now, the application itself does have a bunch of features for snapping photos and, you know, doing all sorts of things, but the primary reason to use it is simply because you can transfer your photos wirelessly. Now, I don't have a memory card in here, but again, fantastic camera. This is something that I'm going to keep in my bag or in my pocket at all times, and it's just a testament to how far Sony cameras have come, is that I'm actually buying my third one in 3 years. I am a Nikon guy, but I'm kind of becoming a Sony guy. It seems like this is the fourth camera I bought from Sony in the past 3 years. I also own the Sony RX1 for a little bit more serious work, not full-on DSLR work. But if you want to see why I'm open to switching to smaller cameras, it's because I've lived in this world most of my life. I've carried around big old Nikon DSLRs like this, and on the right we have the Sony RX100 M3. It has a 24 to 70 millimeter lens. It's going to be slightly different than the 35 millimeter system, but on the left is my Nikon D800 with a 24 to 70 millimeter lens. And you tell me which one you would rather lug around on vacation or during a conference. This thing weighs probably 8-9 pounds as it's configured. When you throw in all the other accessories, the carrying cases, the batteries, etc., it just becomes ridiculous. And you've also got to, of course, use a big old neck strap, and it just becomes really, really bulky. And I really don't like traveling with DSLRs anymore, especially when I go overseas, because it can attract the wrong kind of attention. Forget about whether it's a professional camera like the Nikon D800 or the Nikon D4, or more of a starter DSLR like the Nikon D3000 or Nikon D5000 series, but it really attracts attention. You'll have people hassling you at some places where, especially if it's like a train station or an airport where it's a little bit higher security, you know, you'll have security guards or police officers kind of give you a second look. There will be some museums and monuments where you have policies against using DSLRs, and of course you always have to worry about theft. So this is a lot more discreet. This is a solution that I am very, very happy with so far. I'm not going to get the same quality shots as I'm going to get from a giant $3,000 system or $3,000 body with, you know, $7,000 worth of lenses in my bag, or however much my setup costs at the time. But this is certainly good enough for, I would say, 95% of situations when I'm out with my family. Again, great little camera. I look forward to shooting with it and bringing you more videos and a full review on GottaBeMobile.com shortly. But for now, this is a little preview of the the Sony RX100 M3. This is Xavier with Gotta Be Mobile.